sitting on the couch watching this YouTube channel, watching this podcast, and your life is passing you by. We are no longer doing that. You're going to go after what you deserve, and you're not just going to settle for what comes your way. It's a conversation I've been having with a few of my realtors about actually going after what they earn and not letting people tell them how much they're worth or where they want to be in life. What do you guys have to say about that?
I don't think anybody should tell you what you're worth. I think you have to set a standard and set a price for the business that you want to do and what you want to charge for that. Very different than maybe another argument that I'm going to bring up on the podcast is I don't think that you should alienate yourself from certain business. I've always done, I charge my fee and I'm willing to help anybody from a $50,000 trailer to a $2 million home. Now, I know that in the industry right now, there's this thing like set your limit, don't go over, whatever. I've seen success on both sides, but for me, I've always been willing to help whoever wants to get helped. If you're competent and you're willing to work and you want to buy a home, and I want to be the person that you call, I don't necessarily care the price point. I give a certain level of service. I charge a certain fee, and I want to implement that I charge a fee. There is a flat fee that I do charge regardless of price, right? I charge a fee based on my services. 9 times out of 10, my clients are willing to pay for it. Obviously, I'm not unreasonable, anything like that, but I have a minimum threshold of what I'm willing to do for the deal, which also helps out when things go bad on a deal. Like I'm working on a foreclosure or a short sale and there's not enough money to pay the commission. I have a flat fee minimum that I can lean back on that I'm willing to take to make the deal work. Sometimes the clients do have to come out of pocket or, we try to get the bank to pay for it, which I do because I'm willing to negotiate my fee. So, I do think you need to set your own price. You need to make a decision on what you're willing to work for and don't let industry, standard tell you what you should do. I had an interview today and somebody was talking about how they charge their fees and they're already pre-negotiating for their agents, and she's upset because other agents are always making more money than her, and it makes sense,
and You know what's funny is that I was looking at our metrics yesterday, right, or our KPIs, and just for projection, right, and I noticed that we are over from last year, and I'm like, we have less homes, and we have more, more
income,
more profit. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm looking at all our commissions. Our commissions have gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, all our realtors across the board have been have their commissions have gone up. I mean, I don't want to say we're not averaging. I don't want to say we're averaging, but we've gone up.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that all the heat, I don't want to say heat cases, but I've got phone calls from my realtors and they're like, hey, the realtor's mad. They're saying that I'm getting too much commission or hey, no, they're saying that I'm this and that and the other, right? And I'm like, what? That's none of their business, right? I mean, I think even had a loan officer, I had a title company.
Yeah. Title companies have been really rough on us lately.
I had a title company upset with one of my realtors because they felt like their commission was too high. And I was like, that's none of your business, And so the thing is that the opposing realtors on these deals, right, who are upset about it, I look at their brokerages and it's always like these flat fee brokerages. It's always like these cloud-based or downline, whatever brokerages. And it's like, they don't value themselves. They don't feel like they're valuable, and that's why they feel that way. Our realtors feel, we tell them, no, that's you're worth way more than that. I mean, this is just, for the amount of time that you put in, the work that you do, you should be getting paid way more than this. But if that's all they're going to give you, take it, So I'm just starting to see like a correlation with a lot of these brokerages. Their realtors are really, really, going down on their commissions. They don't know their worth, because nobody's training them and helping them.
Yeah, I make a joke at the end of the podcast all the time, and I say that I am actively recruiting your realtors, and I'm not, just because I really don't want your realtors, and it's making me it's more apparent. I'm on a recruiting kick now. where I'm going to do some branding and I want to get the agents on, and I'm looking to grow to 100 agents, and we have managers that that are willing to help, and we're in a good position to get to that number. It's been a long process. Some of my managers were in training for a full year before they got assigned a person. So, we take the process very serious. I'm constantly, game planning on it. And as I've gone to some of these events, realtors approach us often that they want to join, and they've heard about us, and they, heard these things. The conversations that I'm having with these agents are just alarming, kind of reignites the fire in me as to why we wanted to start the brokerage, or why I decided to grow this type of brokerage. I think both Nate and I have always said that I don't think we ever envisioned this type of brokerage. We have both had different ideas of where we wanted to go. For whatever reason, our path brought us here. And I say whatever reason, but that reason specifically was me running into agents and them constantly not having the education that they claimed they were getting, constantly getting their commission checks chopped up, constantly getting, harassed all the way through. And they're still coming to my office, and it's like somebody out of a bad relationship. It's like, no matter how good I want to be to them, no matter what I want to give them, it's either they feel like it's too good to be true, or they feel that I'm lying, that I'm different, that I'm no different than where they're at. And it's really tough because I do genuinely feel bad for them. I genuinely want to help them, and I genuinely want them to win. And I see so much potential in these agents, and I do wish that they would be here, and I wish that I could help them. But they're just so damaged, so hurt, so just I guess, I don't know, disillusioned with the business too, that it's just kind of tough,
It's like I think the best example that I could give is like a battered woman. Whenever she runs into like a good guy that's willing to support, she always feels like there's something bad going on, right?
Why do you want to do that?
Right? And exactly, like, we're like, why? Why are you going to take me out? Like, in public today?
Yeah.
Well, not to where people know me. Not where people know me, but yes, in public. Yes. Yes, today I'll be taking you out during daylight. Yes. But no, one thing that I have, going back to what Vic was saying, is I have seen this a lot with realtors in general. Is whenever they're asking us, I've been going to a little bit more events. Usually I steer away from them, but now that I'm going to, I have realtors asking us about, like, okay, well, like, how do you make your money, whatever, especially like the newer ones. And I start to explain, well, how to negotiate for myself. And automatically, like, I can see it in their face where it almost seems like it's scamming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's because you never heard that you can make as much money as you want as long as your skill level is there.
Yeah.
And I was like, the problem you have is a skill level. It's not this business sets you at a certain income. Right? It's the skill level. It's what you provide to your clients. I can put whatever fee I want to for my buyers, and they know that I'm going to get even more than that for them.
Yeah.
So they don't mind paying it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they're not doing their consultations properly, which we're not consultants, but their first time meeting the client or whatever it may be, and they don't know how to pitch their value. And this is what I was telling a few of our realtors was, you have to go after what you want, and you have to present yourself as that person who's going to be there in a few years from now. So you have to future pace that right now. And you can't go after you just can't go after what's been given to you. You have to go after and get what you want to get.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get into that same feeling when I'm pitching our company and our model. I often feel like I have to explain to them, like, but I'm not that like MLM thing that you're thinking. Yeah. Like, they like want to bring me back to like, do you make money on your downline? I'm like, what's a down? Like, what is a downline? Like, what is that? Yeah, like, you make money from your realtors. And I'm like, wait, there's like two different conversations. One, I'm an owner of this company, so there's profit that I get from the realtors. Do you get profit from the realtor? No. Your commission gets split up. I take care of your mentor fees. I take care of your office dues. I take care of your technology fee. I give you all the tools necessary from that split. That's what I give to you. Okay, so like, if you're paying all that out of there, then, like, what do you give, for yourself? And what are you talking about? What do you do? I mean, we're getting to help families, and I have to get back to the reason of why I do this. And it sometimes does feel like, bro, like, am I convincing myself, or like they throw me, and I'm like, wait, like, I'm confident in why I do this business is because I want to help more families. I'm confident that together we can grow. I'm confident in the money that we make in this business. I'm confident in the lives that are changing, not only for the results of the product, but also my agents that are making money. We're impacting families through and through. Agents that get to save, agents that get married, get to buy houses, get to, make their investments, to do all that thing. Those things feel great to me. right? The other thing that feels great to me is watching my agents help families and watching their excitement, watching their wins, watching their families grow second, third homes for my realtors. It feels like an extension of me. Like all of our wins feel great together. So it feels good. It's fun. Like that is satisfaction enough, like purpose in my life and reasons why I'm doing this. It feels great. So it's hard to like explain that to somebody, like that happiness and that joy that I feel from it. It's hard to explain it to somebody that's been so jaded by this industry because they've been with people they've just taken and don't want to help and they're only for the money. And that's what I do. I feel these brokerages are only after pay your technology dues so I don't have to pay it. Pay your office dues so I can get an awesome office for free. You know, and I'm all for it. Like you know, bro, if I had that model, great. It's a great model. Everybody pays a portion of their office and I get my big corner office for free. Right? Great. It's a great model. I get the best CRM system. I charge everybody $150 for it. My CRM system is free. Right? Not only for me, but also for my kids and my cousins and my family and everybody, bro. How awesome would that be? Everybody gets it for free on the backs of my agents. That's not what we want to build here. You know?
And they keep looking at you like the, I'll let you go. Sorry for interrupting you, Flo. They keep looking at you like that Drewski meme where he's talking about like, oh yeah, you know, I just got into this 'cause, man, I love helping people. And then 5 seconds pass and he starts laughing. They just wait. They goes dead silence after Vic does his pitch because they're waiting for him to laugh. But he just keeps pitching.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Flo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, going back to what Vic was saying, I think that everybody, well, a lot of people in the industry is just like really like messed up from their head on the pyramid style business where, you know, you're gaining from however people you have underneath you and stuff, and at the end of the day their goal is not like the goal that I feel like most of us in this company have in common, which is, you know, being there like for our clients. And at the end of the day, I feel like their goal is merely like getting content with the money that they're getting without really like putting much effort like after that.
Yeah. So sorry about that. I keep kicking this line, but the thing is that you know, get a hold of this. So the thing is that a lot of people don't understand MLM businesses, right? The reason that they were invented was because this is what me and Vic do is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. It can only take us for such a long time, and then it ends up essentially eating our lunch, right? For lack of better words, right? And so that's why they do the whole downline, and that's why if you look at the you know this new MLM business that's open right now, they have really good realtors. They have really good realtors. They don't have like just your, you know, run of the mill people. They have people that have been in the business for a long time. And remember, there was a person that sat here with me, right, that I was talking to, and she said the same thing. She said, you know how it is. You know, you teach them, you train them, you show them, and then they leave, right? Because they're out looking for the next best thing, you know? And that's the biggest problem. It's hard to keep your realtors here without giving them a lot of free stuff or giving them dreams and hopes, right? And so this whole MLM thing is kind of like, hey, look, you're a realtor, you can make money off what you do, but if you decide, you know, that you don't want to work, just keep recruiting, and it will guarantee you'll make money down the line. And you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, me and Vic got into a big we almost split up in, what was it, 17 or 18?
It was like 18 or 19.
I think it was 18 or 19. Me and Vic almost split up because I was willing to do that. I was like, you know what? This makes sense. I'm really good at myself. I can attract a lot of people. Vic could attract a lot of people. I said, this is the move, Vic. Let's do it, right? And only because, you know, you get to a certain age and you start kind of feeling like, all right, bro, I'm done. You know, I've already done this for a long time. I've already did everything I needed to do. And we had a big argument about it. And then we had a conversation about it. And then we decided to say, you know what, screw them. You know, Vic was like, you know what, we could do this ourselves. And we did.
Yeah. And that goes back to that, is that this business is not necessarily sustainable, right? I see a lot of agents that struggle. I see a lot of brokerages that struggle. Let me rephrase that. They struggle to maintain leadership when they're gone. I just necessarily think that in real estate in general, you kind of live, and what's the saying? You kind of like hand to mouth, right? Like as it comes, it goes in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And they never prepared. I will say that is where I have a vantage point we were talking about earlier, is that I got to watch a lot of people struggle throughout my whole life. But more importantly, I got to watch people struggle specifically in real estate. I got to see the fruits of their labor when, the ninja loans were, in full effect. And I got to see
What?
the ninja loans.
What does that stand for, bro?
I don't know.
No income, no,
You don't-
no job.
You don't want me to say what I have in my brain. No.
They said, you know what it stands
No
for.
income, no
If
job.
you gotta ask, they ain't for you, baby.
Go ahead.
No income, no job verification, none of that. So I got to watch those people go from that to, no business. I will admit, very similar to these people that like had a lot of success with social media to like it backing up. I got to watch those people kind of fail and struggle there. And my idea has always been, and it's only an idea because it hasn't happened yet, right? It's more of a goal. And the idea has always been, when we get to that point, there's a reinvestment period, right? What we were talking about earlier. And that reinvestment period will always be reinvested back into the people that were with us, right? And that is my goal. My goal is I can't do anything by myself, right? But together we can accomplish a lot, right? And that accomplishment that I want all to reap the benefits of that. I want us to all reap the benefits of, of that. And I want it to come in a way through through the real estate market, not through stock paybacks, not through stock, options. I want my agents to own real assets that they can touch, that they can see. And I want to facilitate that and help them get there, right? I have a full strategy on how to get there, right? But I'll wait till I get over 100 and some agents before we start the pitch.
Yeah.
But my goal is always for my agents to be self-sustainable beyond this on something that they can walk away from, And that is the goal. I think as long as we're working towards that, yes. I think it'd be crazy to say that Flor could keep going at the capacity that she's doing for the rest of her life. I think it'd be unrealistic to say no shot to Flor, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
it takes a lot from you, right? I think for you, for me, for Giovanni, Giovanni's said it to me multiple times. You're not going to be able to do this forever. You're not going to be able to spend time with me or with your managers like this forever. At some point, we got to start, setting up processes, procedures, and expectations, and that's what we're also hard on each other. Where are the metrics? What are the numbers? What are the conversion rates look like? What, as we've been collecting data within our business, I'm so confident that we're going in the right direction and ready to get there. That was my fight in 2019 is like, bro, I'm young, I'm young. And even then I was 27 years old, 26 years old. There's no way I'm walking away from that, now. I was just looking at my old TikTok videos because I posted one and I was making fun of Ryan Garcia, and everybody was in there calling. They said, "Why don't you take a liver shot, fat boy?"
You know what's funny is that I stopped producing 2 years ago, right? You stopped producing 1 year ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I already have like 3 million closed and like another 3 million in contract. Yeah. And when I say I mean that was referrals that came in from me that I gave to agents. Yeah. And I count them to, I mean, they counted for their closings, right? But I take count. I'm like, bro, this person came through me, so I'm still, I can literally coast, for, I could coast for another, couple of years, just on living off of whatever referral.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the same boat. We're doing the math of the day. I'm at 6 million right now. And like all potentials, right? But you're in the 6 million, opportunity that you have. There's no way I'm not ending, at 4 to, I mean, even last year we were hitting 4 to 6 million and I didn't produce last year. It's just,
I had 12.
Oh, I had 4. I had a tough year.
Somebody
worked harder than somebody else on the business.
I'm just saying.
Somebody was working on the business, but somebody was working in the business.
Yeah.
No, that was.
And I was just trying to work on myself. It didn't work out, but we're trying. To go back to the topic, right, Nate? I think somebody made a pretty good question to you earlier today on your Instagram. I think that fit perfect for the conversation we're having right now. Did they say, do you need a I know it all attitude or I'm better than everybody? I don't remember exactly what the question was.
I'm better than everybody attitude. He said, do you have to have an I'm better than everybody attitude in this business? And honestly, I think you do. I think you have to have that attitude. There's a lot of people that don't have that attitude. And those are usually the people that are at the events. They're at the at the social gatherings, and they're all on social media, really self-conscious about what they're going to post and stuff like that. Me, I mean, I just post everything. And I think I heard it from, I think it was Ryan Serhan, right? Ryan Serhant said that he started posting and telling everybody he was the number one realtor in New York, and he really wasn't. But what he was doing, and he was proud of what he was doing. He felt like he was number one, and everybody started listening.
Yeah. I've always been number one in my mom's heart, so.
Right? Yeah. My mom says I'm
Same.
number one. Yeah. So that's all that matters to me.
My mom says I'm the best. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, if my dad calls me everyone to tell me I'm good.
Bro,
That's what I'm doing.
I sent Flo a video idea the other day, bro. I can't wait.
I was
I'm making it just for you.
I was having this actually I was thinking for our next meeting because this came to mind. I was watching another creator and their background is Hispanic as well, and they were talking about how
My background's American.
yeah, well, American, right? Well, I meant for for other people here, not us. But their background was Hispanic, and they were saying that the way that they were raised was, keep your victories like low, like don't be too loud, don't say what you want to go and achieve, don't talk about what your victories are currently, and that really damaged him as an entrepreneur. He said he had to drop that and embrace who he was and who he wanted to be and like announce everything that seemed so cringe to him because of his background. Do you think that plays a big part into like a lot of these realtors? They're coming from I don't want to say regular families, right? But people that have like 9-to-5 jobs and aren't entrepreneurs. Do you think that stifles them, like that mentality?
I think it does because, you always say that or hear the saying that, the worst enemy of another, like, I guess Mexican is just another Mexican. I feel like that is so ingrained into like our culture that let's say if you are like a producing agent and you're like sharing your small or big victories like every day in your social media, the first thing that is coming like from family is like, oh, like it's now like, she's believe or he's believe that, he's like the best or he's too much or he's this or he's that. And I feel like that mentality, or I guess, or that living in that environment, like, makes you feel like, you're just like bragging about yourself. And a lot of times, even though if those victories are in fact victories, you're just not doing it like for the cloud. Like it just makes you in a way like feel smaller instead of actually, making you feel like bigger.
I always have to give the disclaimer, because apparently everything that happened to me was a lie. And I made it up in my head, and it didn't happen. So my disclaimer.
That's called gaslighting. That's called gaslighting. They're trying to gaslight you, bro.
Parents gaslight.
So my disclaimer is, if that was my perspective and those were my feelings, then that's what happened, right?
That was my perspective as a 7-year-old.
Yeah, that's
what
my
I say.
perspective,
Yeah.
with the knowledge that I had,
Yeah.
I felt that we got, and in all honesty, I felt that we got, disrespected and degraded, and I got to watch a lot of struggle, firsthand all the way through. And I think, I'm thankful for those opportunities and that because, I don't care. I have no single care in the world what anybody says about me. The things that we've experienced, the things that I've gone through, the things I've watched my mom overcome, things our families overcome together. I mean, bro, it doesn't matter. Like literally nobody can say anything that would take me off of my path. I'm working for myself. I'm not proving anything to anybody else.
Yeah, but it took so much of you to become that person that don't care. I'm pretty sure, it was not something that happened like overnight. You have to go through all of that. You have to go through, making yourself above or feeling above like everybody else to build that tough skin, to not care. I feel like a lot of people do care, and it's just hard, like not to care for a lot of people.
It takes a while.
Yes.
You're right. It takes a while, but I will tell you what made and I don't want to say that I don't care. What I say is that I became understanding to them, and I got to that point where it was like, you know what, I'm not. There's nothing that I can do, say, or anything that's gonna change your mind, right? So I'm just going to leave it there and leave you where you are. And one thing that I was told so many times by people I loved, people I respected, and people that I would never think about, right, would say something like this to me, but I heard it too many times, and it's no se te olvida de dónde vienes, right?
Exactly, that you're like selfless.
Yes, and they're like, yeah, don't forget where you came from, right? But it was never in a positive point. It was almost like a, hey, bro, don't forget where you came from. I know who you are. I know what I know what you used to do. I know whatever. And I just heard it too many times. And one day, you like you said, I did feel like, oh man, am I being too presumptuous? Am I being too loud? Am I being too whatever? I don't know what word to use for that, But and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't forget where I came from. That's why
That's what
I push myself to where I need to be, And the thing is that honestly, it's not that I don't care, It's just that I have conversations with some of these family members, some of these people. You always see them during funerals, you always see them during parties or whatever, or graduations, and it's like you're sitting there and you're just like, we have nothing in common anymore, right? And I'm at least trying to understand or trying to find common ground with you by even being here, right? And you're not even doing that. All you're doing is just sitting there and telling me how much of a, how I think I'm too bougie or too how arrogant you are, how bougie you think you're better than everybody. And sometimes people say, oh man, he thinks he's better than everybody, and I haven't even said a word. I'm just there, and I'm like, how do I think I'm better than everybody? I'm like, so it took me a while, but and I would be lying if I would say that it doesn't bother me, because it does. It bothers me. There's some people that I really love, but at the end of the day, it's just nostalgia. It's just there was a time when we were together. It's just like an ex-girlfriend or an ex. Whatever, but at one point we had a life together and we no longer have it. And not because I didn't want you here, it's because you didn't want me up here.
At my age, right now, and embarrassingly, because I said I would stop after 30 and I can't, I would say you also should not forget where I come from. That is my response back to
everybody. Yeah. The other day I had a conversation like this with my dad. And he was telling me, something along those lines. And I think the best thing that I could have said, like, yes, I'll never forget where I came from. That's why I sell that, what I do now. That's what I sell ranches. I came from that. Like, that's what I know. I feel like it's the way, like, you see it. I mean, if you came like from nothing and now you have everything or whatever, it's how you perceive and see things and do it at the same time.
Yeah, that's a perspective, right? And that's my similar perspective. Is that one? I was definitely meaning it in a more negative way, but I'll go in a lighter way.
I still throw hands. That's what I meant.
You better watch the tone, baby, because the smile just gets bigger. But I was telling them, back to that is that I don't forget where we came from, and I do appreciate, another disclaimer, I love all my clients. I'm thankful for all the opportunities, but nothing feels better than helping the single mom, the struggling mom that's wanting to improve their life. Nothing feels better than helping that young real estate agent that's hungry, that wants an opportunity, that wants to be heard. Nothing feels better than giving these people an opportunity when I felt that we didn't have those opportunities. Yeah. So if I can be that change and be that opportunity and be that help and be that voice of reason or that positivity, I'm going to do it 9 times out of 10. I'll to an injury to myself, I'll help anybody else that I can get him, and that comes from where we came from, feeling like I didn't get those opportunities. I didn't get that. I can think on 3, parents in my life, or my grandfather, consejos que me dio, like my grandfather gave me really good, advice. Nate gave me really good advice, as crazy as it sounds, my dad gave me really good advice, everyone had a big part in my life. And it came, coaches, teachers, I took what I could from the village because that's what we had. Right. And as you grow, I just hope that I'm able to impact life in that same way, because I don't forget the people that helped me and the people that gave me the advice and the people that didn't stop, multiple times people could have stopped, hey, this kid is crazy, and they didn't, so.
And one thing that I was actually remembering whenever we were just starting the podcast earlier today was that me and Vic and I had a conversation. I think you were just, Dee had just announced that she was going to have the twins. We're having a conversation about kids, right? And like the environment that you grew in, the middle class is always the worst, because you have a good enough life to where you always play it safe. and you never want to take a risk because you're so used to the safe of it. But the kids that were raised either in a low income, bad environment, they usually become very successful. Same thing with kids who came from a higher earning household, entrepreneurs, make a lot of money. Same thing, because their risk tolerance is so high. The people who came from a really good family, well, their risk tolerance is so high because technically they don't have risk, right? And the people who are down at the bottom, well, I mean, how much lower can they go? And I think in sales, this relates back to that too, is if you come from a middle-class family or somebody who's always had a 9 to 5 or something like that, you have to take your mindset out of that, because in this business, you're either going to be at the bottom or up top. It's very rare you're going to find people who coast in the middle. And the people who do coast in the middle, those are the people that have been here for years. I mean, this older agents who have nonstop clientele just coming in to where they can coast. But when you're new in this business, you're either going to be at the bottom or you're going to make it to the top. There is no in between.
That's funny, because that's the agent that me and Vic were always scared of. That middle agent that, you know, just
bare minimum
referrals, coast by, makes about 50, 60,000 a year, and just, you know, it's just like whatever, you know. And man, that was like, no, I mean, this can be so much bigger. This could be a career. This could be, I mean, we could branch out to different, you know, areas. And like I said, we're not, you know, we're not there yet, right? We still have a long way to go, but hey, we're off to a great start. And I think that you know, so one thing that I've been telling everybody, right, is that Q3 is always the best quarter for the year, always. And right now, it looks like Q3 is gonna be fire. I mean, we've been doubling up Q3 since 2020. So you know, last year supposedly was a bad year, and we tripled COVID year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, back to the I guess the original point that Nate was making, that Giovanni was making, I didn't get to comment on, is, you know, as you outgrow certain people, you know, there's certain conversations that you can no longer have with them. And it's no shot to them or no shot to, you know, to that. It's just that their understanding of business or their understanding of where you are in life, you know, will seem to be like you're bragging, will seem to be like you're rubbing it in their face. And I've always been very conscious of that. Into, you know, I think Giovanni tagged me on Instagram, and it was like that one random sales guy, you know, at 2 a.m, you could blend in any you know, group, right? And it comes from that. It's being self-aware, being aware of your surroundings, having an understanding of who you're talking to, and really what the point of the conversation is. And that is the tough part of getting, you know, to a different level. Everything does become transactional. Everything does, you know, what are we getting out of each other? What is the point of this? So you got to understand that if it's a personal conversation, we'll keep it personal. If it's a business conversation, then you got to level where they are in business, and either you're going to be giving advice or you're going to be collaborating on a business. And you got to figure it out really quick, because you don't want to collaborate on somebody that doesn't have the same knowledge as you, right? That you're going to have to pull up. So then, you know, you got to start making your decisions. Right?
You got to watch your facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when they're talking about, you know, starting a freaking pressure washing business, and you're like, yeah, it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Shout out to all our pressure washer guys out there. But I'll help you get a house. It's okay.
But you know, I think that you know, whenever you get to a certain level, right, of business, right, you know, you have family members. Sometimes you think they're hating, or sometimes they say they're throwing shots, or they're saying things like that. But what I've learned to do, like I said earlier, is you got to understand, right? You got to understand their perspective. You know, they're all day long at one place doing the same thing. And, you know, and you know, here is the weekend, and, you know, you're pulling up late to their event, you know, you're talking about what, I mean, they're probably tired or frustrated, you know, and then, you know, you have to be understanding to them and to their situation. And you know, I'm not saying dumb yourself down, right? And I've always said that to Vic, right? No te hagas chiquito por nadie, you know, like, you have to be you no matter what, right? But, you know, be understanding if they get ugly. get also back and forth with them too, arguing with them or telling them stuff, you know?
No, that goes back to the don't
Yeah,
forget where I came
yeah,
from because I'm
just-
still young enough. I'm down.
No. You gotta be.
Like I said, I'm still working on
I
that.
got a soft 18 months, baby. Y'all better come at me.
You gotta be understanding with the people, and you gotta understand, because you gotta think about, you know, these people went to some of these, and not just, you know, we keep talking about contractors, but what about people who went to college? What about people
Nah,
that got degrees
what-
and you make more than them?
Those
and
are
they're
the
kind of
worst,
yeah,
yeah.
they feel like
Hey, look, and this is why I resort to violence. I was like, because, you know, it's not income based, it's not race based, it's nothing based. It's all respect based, right? And these are the consejos, you know, that I did earn from my dad. Unfortunately, you know, maybe I shouldn't be following his advice, but it is what it is. It comes from a respect standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm raising men. I have 3 boys, right? My last name is important to me now in this day. You're going to respect us. You're not going to disrespect me. If you think I'm soft and you think you can wall out with me, you think you can say some stuff, what are you going to do to my kids when I'm not here and I'm not around? You know, what are you going to do when I'm not here? And I'm setting that expectation, that tone now. You know, if their dad's going to punch you in their mouth, what the hell do you think my kids are going to do? You know, and I would never want my kids to do anything. So I have to make those hard decisions today. Because unfortunately, I didn't have a dad to punch people in their face. He did, just not at the right time, you know? So I have to set that standard now, and I have to be that rock for my family now in order for my family to have a little better life. You know, and that's really goes with that saying, right? The strong men, you know, what's the saying? Giovanni has to know it, I feel.
Which one?
The strong men create, you know.
Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times.
Yeah. And, you know, I know that there's going to be repercussions for my kids for me, you know, having some of these battles for them. Mm-hmm. But also, you know, my kids are going to do a good job getting themselves into problems. I already see that. So, you know, I ain't got to worry. I got to worry about maybe my grandkids moving forward. But those are the things that are constantly in my mind. When I feel disrespected or I feel that people are telling me some stuff that needs to get checked, I have to check it. It's just, you know, I've tried to sleep on it. I've tried to walk away from it. I've tried to, like, you know, calm myself down, but that's what I'm saying. It's either age or it's something in me right now that I'm not willing to walk away.
It's reaction. Whenever they can't get a reaction out of you, they stop.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes when people say stuff or say silly stuff, I look at them and I'm like, oh, bro, come on. Like, you know, like, it's not even worth even responding to something like that, you know, in my opinion, right? And to this point, nobody ever says anything to my face. They say stuff to other people, right? And but nobody ever says anything to me. They just you know, I mean, there's no argument here.
Yeah.
There's none.
No one said anything to my face, but if I hear behind my back, I'll go to you. Yeah. I don't want you to talk about me at all.
Well, that's my that's my
just
point.
watch your mouth.
So that's my point. You know, whenever somebody says something that's a lie, right? Slander or accusations, I will confront those person. But when somebody's saying just silly stuff and it gets back to me, it's like, bro, poor guy, you know. I mean, you know, and like I was telling you right now, right? You know, it's like, and Giovanni said too. He said those are the worst ones. The greed people are the worst ones.
Yeah.
You know, they'll say, well, at least I have a paid off car, and then, you know, 7 years later they'll buy a car on payments, you know, and it's
not
like,
even an expensive one.
And it's like the whole time you just wanted a new car and you didn't know how to say that, you know.
So we can guide you there, baby girl. You gotta worry about it. All right, I gotta stop drinking on the podcast.
You're being too specific.
I love it.
All right, guys, we're gonna end off there before more secrets are spilled. But yeah, all right, Vic, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on the streets. No, you can find me. You can find me on Instagram at Rio Presidente. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you guys.
You can find me on all my social medias, Flor Velas QC, Realtor, Instagram, TikTok. Follow me.
And you just reminded me of something, Vic. I saw a meme said that's what sidewalks were invented for, because not everybody's for the streets. But yeah, so you can find me at Better Call Nate on all my social media outlets.
And I am Giovanni, your gracious host here at the HBR podcast. We are live every single Thursday, or we go live every single Thursday. If you want to come on the podcast and you're in business or whatever it may be, let us know. Hit me up in the Instagram, on Instagram as Giovanni. I'm sorry, guys. I'm forgetting. I have a new tag. It's a new page. So it's not a scammer one. It only has like 90 followers because I just started a new one.
He
so it's
reinvented
that
himself.
Giovanni Frank. Yes. Until next time.